This week on Previews World Weekly, Vampirella turns 50, Star Wars Celebration, The Power of X, and it's our Manga Month episode. Tune in, it starts right now. What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday, it's New Comic Book Day, and it's 25 Days Tell Free Comic Book Day. But this is Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and as usual, we're here every week to remind you guys to stop at a comic shop and get involved in what's happening in the world of comics.
And it is our Manga Month episode, so we are going to have a special guest later on the show. We're going to talk about manga. We're going to get educated on the world of manga in general. But there was a Joker trailer last week, right? And we had a little exchange on Messenger. You seemed kind of... Indifferent?
Yeah.
I know you kind of like the more upbeat stuff when it comes to the superhero stuff, right?
In this case, it's not so much that, but that I don't really think that there's this trend happening of villains getting these sort of relatable backstories right now, and I just don't care. I want my villains to be villains.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's going to be cool, I think. It looks cool as a film, but like, I didn't need or want it, so.
No, I get that. I mean, like, you made a good point. I think it was last week, it was off camera, but you made a good point, like, the Joker's always kind of had like a, not much of an origin, like, you know, there's been like things that have been alluded to, but like nothing ever really concrete.
Yeah,
and
still
so
sort of mysterious.
And that
I like
adds
that.
to the character, right, yeah. So you kind of have to be careful when you're doing stuff like that. I was very surprised to hear them mention Gotham. Like, I almost was under the impression that this was going to be completely removed from any other interpretation of Batman, like, you know, like, even like to the point that like I almost thought that maybe he just like wouldn't even mention Batman. Like I wasn't quite sure what to expect from this. So just because it came off so sober in every version I saw, every teaser I saw before this. But I mean, it's Todd Phillips. Like he did The Hangover, which is kind of odd, I know, but at the same time, like he would understand comedy. So I mean, if you try to do something funny, it kind of makes sense. He also did this movie called War Dogs, like a few years ago, which was a crime, kind of like a crime gun runner type movie. So it might,
that relates a little more.
You know, it's Martin Scorsese, so my bias says I'm going to watch anything with Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to not see it. It looks cool, and again, visually, very stunning.
Right. Yeah, it's captivating. It's a very interesting, fascinating take on a classic character. So. We'll see. Like on the heels of Shazam this past weekend. Did you catch Shazam?
I didn't.
I didn't see it either.
Yet,
yeah, but I get it. On the heels of Shazam, it's kind of weird to kind of get another sober take of like a DC character. But we'll see. So, of course, it is Wednesday, and Anime is here, as always, to show us what's on the new release shelf. So check it out. Here's some of the titles available at your local comic shop.
Hey Previews World! Every week we give you the rundown on some of the books hitting the shelves for the first time. Here's what's at comic shops this week. Is that it? No way. Your comic shop has something for every type of customer. So stop at a comic shop today, and I'll see you back here next week.
And there's tons of other stuff available at your local comic shop. Check them all out at previewsworld.com/new releases. But more importantly, Thea, what are you into this week?
Ghostbusters!
Of course.
So of course, it's the 35th anniversary this year, right? So they've got these cool one-offs that are coming out. And this week we have the real Ghostbusters. And this looks like a really fun one. They're up against a rival ghost catching company called Spooks Away. Which I'm like, not nearly as catchy, guys.
No,
you tried, I guess.
Right.
But they seem to have better gear, better threads, better everything. And they're seeming to be determined to ruin the real Ghostbusters. But of course, there has to be some crazy hostile takeover in terms of ghosts. So then they have to sort of figure out how to deal with that in addition to the Spooks Away.
All right, nice. Yeah, it's a cool, like, we're getting a celebration all year long from IDW, and this is part of a series of one-shots. So yeah, like definitely keep an eye out for that one and all the other ones coming out this week. For me this week, I am really excited for Symbiote Spider-Man #1. It's interesting because it's written by Peter David, who large swaths of my childhood are like dedicated to reading his stuff. It also happens that he wrote Spider-Man during the black costume period in the 80s. So you probably already know this, but the symbiote Spider-Man is the alien costume that eventually goes to Venom, but there's an entire portion of Spider-Man's, aka Peter Parker's existence with this thing that is pretty interesting. And they're jumping back, they're doing a throwback story that's a little, I guess it's a miniseries, it's not quite clear if it's a miniseries or not. I'm assuming it's a miniseries, but it's Peter David. He's a great Spider-Man writer. He's done X Factor, he did some great Incredible Hulk stuff. And on top of that, it's got a Greg Land cover. And for those of you who don't like Greg Land, because I know that he's not everybody's favorite, but he draws great covers.
Controversial.
Right, yeah. He's not doing the interiors. So let's just relax a little bit, but definitely check that out. It's a fun one. I'm here for the nostalgia trip. So even though it kind of predates my existence, but
I mean, Ghostbusters is also nostalgia.
Right, yeah. It's all right.
Nostalgia.
There you go. There's our pattern today. What else are you looking for this week?
There's the Adventures of the Super Sons trade paperback, Volume 1 coming out, and that looks really cool.
It does. Yeah.
It's not a series that I've read, but I found it looking through all the new releases, and it seems like a really cool set of things for me. I didn't even know that they had all these younger versions of everybody interacting. So we've got Robin and Superboy, right? And they're going to come face to face with Rex Luthor and Joker Jr. and all these other younger versions of all the. It's just really cool conceptually. I like that. Yeah.
I had a chance to. I didn't get to read the whole thing, but there was another series. Well, I guess it was like a crossover series that predated this one that introduced this concept of the Super Sons. It was really well done. Good. So I'm actually looking forward to this one too. It's like half of what the maxi series is because I think it's a 12-part maxi series.
Yeah. This is volumes 1 through 6.
Right. So it's 1 through 6, and I saw them coming out slowly every month, and I was like, I'm gonna trade weight on this one, but I'm gonna pick it up when it drops. Also, it's not surprising because you love Teen Titans, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of in that wheelhouse,
a little bit,
right?
Yeah. Fair enough.
Also out this week, and I'm gonna need your help with this one. Okay. War of the Realms: Journey into Mystery, written by
the McElroy brothers.
The McElroy brothers. So you're familiar with the Adventure Zone podcast, right? Which is what they do.
Yes.
But this is their comic book debut. So it's you were telling me it's their dad and them talking about Dungeons and Dragons, or what's the deal?
They run. Well, one of them is the dungeon master, and he runs the campaign. It's basically a family campaign. So it's the brothers and their dad, and it's very fun.
Okay, no, good. Well, it's cool because they made a big announcement. Marvel did about a few months ago that they were bringing them into this, and this is a fantasy story, so it makes sense they would be involved in a War of the Realms tie-in. So I'm actually kind of curious about this. Also, the cover's really cool. Yeah. We were talking about, was it Jubilant Chaos last week, right? So all the covers for any of the War of the Realms books just are colorful and
super bright, super punchy.
Yeah, super punchy, literally. Right, So I'm all for it. On that note, we're going to kick it over to the news. Thea's going to let us know all the cool stuff that's been happening in the world of comics, and when we get back, we're going to give some hot takes on some of the stuff too. So check it out. Here's the news for this week.
An unexpected crossover hit is getting revisited as Archie has announced that Archie vs. Predator 2 is coming in July of 2019. Alex DeCampi will reprise her role as writer of the 5-issue miniseries, with Robert Hack joining the creative team as artist. DeCampi told The Hollywood Reporter in the exclusive reveal that the series will pick up right after the original series left off. Variant covers for Archie vs. Predator #1 will be provided by Rick Burchett and Rosario Pena, Derek Charm, Francesco Francavilla, Dan Parent, and Billy Tucci with Wes Hartman. Archie vs. Predator 2 arrives in comic shops July 24th and will be available to order in the May Previews catalog.
Let me tell you, legit, I want to be very clear about something. The first Archie vs. Predator was awesome. It was I read it I read it digitally, but it was so good I bought the physical issues afterwards because they get owned. It's a bloodbath, and it's done in the Archie style, which makes it even more bizarre. Right. But it's clearly DeCampi was pulling from the actual Predator movie, and
I love that.
The idea of a sequel is just I'm already there for it.
They have some of the best crossover concepts.
They do.
Which is just really Archie and Predator,
right.
But that's so cool.
Right, yeah. And the fact that there's a sequel, is ridiculous.
That's so good.
If you have not read, this is the real AVP. If you have not read AVP, read AVP. Like, I will get you a copy of AVP.
All right.
It's totally worth it.
I love it.
On board.
I'm here for it. Next up, Vampirella is back in a new ongoing series by a blockbuster creative team to celebrate her milestone 50th birthday. Issue number 1 will be on sale the same day and date as the iconic first magazine from 1969, and also coinciding with the first day of San Diego Comic-Con's 50th show. The one and only fan favorite and critically acclaimed writer Christopher Priest is bringing his trademark literary and inventive stylings to one of the most influential, beloved female characters in comic books. Don't miss the debut of this run in Vampirella Free Comic Book Day number 0 on Saturday, May 4th. It's coming up, guys. This history-making series will feature cover after cover from the greatest artists today. For the first issue, fans can choose a wraparound cover featuring Vampy in a way only Frank Cho could render her, incorporating his recently acclaimed ballpoint pen techniques. Or pick up a cover from the peerless Alex Ross, Joe Jusko, Guillaume March, Adam Hughes, cosplayer Erica Fett, and a limited edition San Julian variant. Vampirella number 1 will be solicited in the May 2019 previews catalog and is slated for release this July.
Yeah. No, the Cho and Ross cover look great.
Super cool.
That's like wallpaper worthy. Like, there's some really cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
Also, I just think it's really interesting because Christopher Priest, black writer, right?
Yeah.
He's been complaining for a while about being pigeonholed.
Aw.
But it's because like the thing that he's best known for is Black Panther.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's actually kind of cool to see him do Vampirella.
Absolutely.
Like, he's been
love that.
Right. He's been getting out of that the pocket that he's been forced into for a while. And
Little box.
Yeah, right. You
Yeah.
know, so there you go. Box.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the word.
Being sort of typecast, as it were, right?
You're right, yeah. So,
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Also, happy birthday, Vampirella. So,
Yeah. Solid. DC Comics has added a horror movie homage variant cover by Yasmin Putri to Deceased number 2. The cover pays homage to the classic Nightmare on Elm Street poster. Look for more horror movie homage variant covers with the solicitations for the remaining issues of Deceased. So this is like a really cool concept.
Yeah, it is.
That they're basically taking all these horror film covers and turning them into comic covers.
Yeah. I definitely want more of these. And the Nightmare on Elm Street one looks great.
Yeah, they've done a really great job. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah, which is funny, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, it's actually kind of gorgeous, like the way it's depicted, yeah.
Right.
I actually might just get that just for the cover.
It's art.
It's art, there you
It's
go.
good to collect
Nothing wrong
art.
with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Fans who haven't been able to find 100-page giant comics at their local Walmart retailer can breathe a sigh of relief, as DC has confirmed plans to make the original stories that formed the basis for their line of Walmart giant anthology comics available in comic shops for the first time. Each story arc comes in the form of a 6-issue monthly miniseries featuring 2 chapters per issue. The fireworks start early on July 3rd with Superman Up in the Sky number 1, written by Tom King with art by Andy Kubert and Sandra Hope. The action then continues on July 10th with Brian Michael Bendis and Nick Darrington teaming up for Batman Universe number 1. Then we have Amanda Conner, Jimmy Palmiotti, and Chad Hardin combining their powerhouse talents on a new adventure featuring the Amazon Princess Diana in Wonder Woman Come Back to Me number 1, on sale July 17th. Each miniseries will also feature brand new cover art from Andy Kubert, Amanda Conner, and Nick Darrington.
So the cool thing about that is that like Dan Didio made it a point, he's a publisher of DC, one of the publishers of DC, he made it a point like a few weeks or almost a month ago that DC was going to zero in on the direct market more.
Sure.
And part of that was they were going to do some unique hardcover variants for the direct market. There's one for the Batman White Knight. There's another one for Mr. Miracle. This is also part of that. And it's just good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just good in general.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think the comics have long been called specialty shops. And to make something special for these specialty shops makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I just thought that was really good.
Absolutely.
I'm glad. I want them to do more stuff like that. I think that's
too.
awesome.
Yeah, reaching out. Last but not least, Marvel has revealed even more details for Jonathan Hickman's return to the Marvel Universe. They have now released the covers for both House of X number 1 and Powers of X number 1. House of X and Powers of X will hit comic shop shelves in July, and although Marvel is keeping plot details for the series close to the vest at the moment, they have touted that in House of X, Charles Xavier reveals his master plan for mutant kind, one that will bring mutants out of the shadow of mankind and into the light once more. Powers of X will intertwine with House of X and reveal the secret past, present, and future of mutant kind, changing the way you look at every X-Men story before and after. So keep an eye out for these books in the May issue of Previews and in your local comic shop this July.
Yeah.
Very cool.
No, very cool. I am. I'm actively reading Jonathan Hickman's new Avengers book.
Cool.
In preparation for reading his Secret War series.
Yeah.
And one thing he does really well is he embraces weird.
Good.
And the X-Men have long been called Uncanny X-Men for a reason.
Yep.
And I feel like writers get it wrong when they try to play it like a straight superhero comic.
Right.
So I am very much into him doing, like the Hickman doing X-Men is like 100%. Also, I might be making this up in my head. I feel like that cover is the cover with Cyclops with the Cerebro in his helmet. I feel like it's a soft homage to New X-Men 114 and Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. So
fair enough.
Maybe I might be just wanting to see that, but
well, hey, art is as you interpret it, right?
Right. There you go. There you go. So yeah, I'm really into this. I'm all about this.
Cool.
I also want to point out that the Overstreet Price Guide to Batman was announced this past week, and we're gonna have Carrie on later, and she's gonna talk a bit about like Manga Month, of course. But I might ask her a few questions about that because I think it's really interesting. It's covering everything, like from 8-bit video games to movie posters, and of course comics. So
cool.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I thought it was at least worth mentioning in the news. So now it's time for Previews Toy Chest, right? Natasha's here, not physically here, but she's in a video, and she's going to show us some of the toys available at your local comic shop. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Star Wars Celebration. So tune in, check it out.
Hey Previews World, here is this week's rundown of some of the toys, statues, and collectibles hitting store shelves for the first time. Let's take a look inside the Previews Toy Chest for the week of April 10th, 2019. Want to see more? Be sure to check out Talking Toys, our weekly show that spotlights new collectibles on the way to your friendly local comic shop. Just head over to PREVIEWsworld.com/talkingtoys to find out more.
Thanks, Natasha. A lot of really cool stuff out this week, but oh my gosh, that's Sabrina and Salem.
The pop.
They're so cute. Pops, like, I have to be very careful with like which ones I.
Yeah.
Because I will just like have an explosion of them in my life, and that's not a good thing.
I feel like
I'm a hoarder.
I've talked to Anna Mia before, and she's all about the Funko Pop. So yeah, like
It's a problem.
I've told her she has a problem, and she's
I
like,
have to be very picky.
yeah, she's like, I
Very
know.
picky. But that's Sabrina, and of course the new season came out.
Yeah, I forgot it actually.
The new part. They're calling it parts, so it's part 2.
Oh, okay. But it's still like what, 12 episodes or whatever?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. How is it so far?
So far, so good. I'm only a few episodes in.
Okay, nice.
I haven't actually had time to really sit down and watch it.
I'm
but
like,
I like it a lot so far.
no, good. I still need to finish season 1. Awful. I'm a bad TV watcher. Like, people keep telling me to watch Game of Thrones. I stopped like season 2.
There's a lot of Game of Thrones.
That's a commitment. Like when you really
Even
think about
I've
it.
fallen off the bandwagon on that
Yeah,
one.
it's like over 80 hours of television.
it's
I'm
a
like,
lot.
I don't want to do that.
I
guys.
got most of the way in on that, but I'm like, oh, I'm actually only about halfway.
You're right. Yeah. See.
Considering how much has come out recently.
Yeah. Right. When you're playing catch up. Yeah. I'm more of a movie person. So speaking of movies. Just so happens that a little indie movie called Star Wars is having a celebration this weekend. This week, actually. Actually, yeah, it's an indie movie. Technically, it's an indie movie, and it just so happens that DST and Gentle Giant Limited have a booth together. And this, of course, is part of that big acquisition that happened recently. And actually, it was made official this past week too. On top of that, and they have a bunch of exclusives, or at least 2 in particular. They have a Darth Maul and they have a Hera.
Yes.
And you want to You want to break out Darth Maul at least just so people can see it?
So excited about him
This is-
because he's nuts.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Da, 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 da.
In a good way. Yeah. This might disappear. I'm just going to say. This might disappear from the show. Calm down. We're not giving this away.
No,
like,
sorry.
yeah, we got to make that clear. I should have said that about about 2 minutes ago.
Don't get too excited.
Don't get too excited. But this is one of the examples of something you can get at the Gentle Giant, at the DST Gentle Giant Limited booth at Star Wars Celebration. So definitely head on over to booth 4012.
He's intense.
And he's intense. And there's a Hero too. So yeah, just something to check out.
He has good detail.
Very cool. And
very
also,
beautiful.
speaking of movies, just so happens that Captain Marvel came out Shazam came out this
Yes.
weekend, but we put together a video of every character that's been named Captain Marvel. It's called Too Many Marvels. Johnny was nice enough to cut this together. The fun thing about this was, I won't speak for Johnny, but the fun thing about this was discovering the number of characters that are actually called Captain Marvel. I think initially I sent him an outline of 20.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain at this point we're about at 30, maybe 40.
What?
Yeah, so the final version was a monster.
That is a lot.
Yeah, I consider myself a super nerd. I was I know these already. No.
Not even
There's
close.
a lot more. And not all DC and Marvel too, which is also really interesting. So check this out. It's Too Many Marvels, and get a little bit of history lesson. When we come back, we're going to celebrate Manga Month in style with Carrie.
It's well known that there's more than one Captain Marvel in the world of comic books. DC has Billy Batson, Marvel has Carol Danvers. But there are a lot of other characters that have gone by the name Captain Marvel. So many, in fact, that we're going to delve deep and take a look at all of them in this video that we call Too Many Marvels. For clarification, we'll be dating them based on when they took the name Captain Marvel and not the character's first appearance. Let's get started. But wait, there's more. We found a few more heroes with just Marvel in the name. And there you have it. That's our marvelous list. See what I did there? Did we get them all? Let us know in the comments below if we missed anyone.
Like we mentioned earlier, it is Manga Month, and we have a special guest here to explain the world of manga to us. But I want to give her a little bit of street cred here. Like, if you question why she is the authority here, here's an image of her as JoJo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And like, I'm a noob, so I don't know that much about anything. All I know is JoJo from the video games. But Carrie, welcome.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
This is long overdue.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it kind of is, because I mean, it's not like we haven't had like, you know, conversations about manga before.
Right.
But you might have seen Carrie from like the Overstreet Price Guide videos. She did a Batman one recently. Have you done some game trade media stuff with them too?
Yeah, so I've been on both painting Happy Little Minis and building character.
Right.
I authored the Overstreet Guide to Collecting Tabletop Games. That came out last year. As you mentioned earlier in the show, I'm currently working on the Overstreet Price Guide to Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've been with Gemstone for about, I guess, 4.5 years now, and done the cosplay book as well. So yeah, I've been here for a minute. And before I was with Gemstone, I was in the marketing department at Diamond, and that's when I started the Manga Monthly column.
Right.
So I've been doing that for almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
But as you showed up with my cosplay photo, I've been cosplaying and going to conventions since I was 12 years old.
Oh, really?
My first convention was Otakon 2002.
Oh, wow.
So
that's like both feet in.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Mine was Otakon 3 years after that. So.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never been to Otakon. I don't like. Yeah, I'm slacking. But you're here to educate people about the world of manga.
Trying to,
Right,
absolutely.
yeah.
I love manga. I've been reading it since I was a kid, and it's as big now as it's ever been.
Yeah,
So.
right, yeah.
Well, it's way more easily accessible.
Right.
That's also true.
True. Like, I can be an old timer and definitely say, like, I remember you kind of had to know a guy who knew a guy to get, you know what I mean?
hunt
Like
down
to
the
get
stuff you wanted.
anime and manga and all this other stuff.
Always imported.
Always imported.
Right.
Always imported. We should actually start off right off the bat.
Right.
Because I goofed earlier and I said manga.
You did.
Right. And you totally called me out on it.
I did.
But it's good because like I've been trying really hard not to say it for like the last year. Because before that I used to say it all the time.
Break the habit.
But what is the proper pronunciation?
So it is manga.
Yes.
Manga is basically the Japanese word for comics. So Japanese language, the vowel sounds are a, i, u, e, o.
Okay.
So it's the ah sound, so it's manga.
Okay, there you go. So there you go. So stop saying that. Don't be like Troy was like 5 minutes ago.
Don't be that kind of American.
Right, exactly, right. So it is Manga Month, but what does that mean exactly? Because you do the Manga Monthly article every month, and you should always keep an eye out for that. But what is Manga Month specifically?
Manga Month is the Previews overall celebration of the manga medium, and just trying to highlight the various manga publishers that we have here now, which is such a good, diverse crowd. I mean, you have some of the, I guess you would call them the old guard of manga publishers, like Viz Media, and even Dark Horse has been publishing manga for a long time. But then we've got, I don't want to necessarily call them like newcomers because they've been around for several years, but I started reading manga when I was 8 or 9 years old. And Seven Seas wasn't really around back then. Yen Press, Kodansha wasn't publishing in America back then either. So yeah, it's just sort of putting the spotlight on manga as a comics medium, because that's really what it is. It's a comics medium. I think a lot of American Western comic book readers look at manga and they're like, oh, that's Japanese stuff. That's just Japanese stories, and you know,
keep away.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's one of the biggest misconceptions about manga, is that it's just Japanese stories, but it's really just the Japanese style of comics medium.
Absolutely. So I wanted to know, what manga should people go out and find right now? What's the popular stuff that people are looking at?
I mean, you got to start right now today with like My Hero Academia. That's it. That's the one.
Not surprising.
Yeah, I mean, My Hero, it's one of my favorites. I love the anime series. I binged it with my husband after like a year or two of it being out, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to be into that. And then I started watching it, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Why didn't I watch this from the beginning? It's so good, and it's a really good sort of like manga for people who don't read manga, like manga for American comic book readers, because it's about Izuku Midoriya, who is just a kid who wants to be a superhero. Like, that's all he wants.
Classic.
It's a classic superhero story with very cool superhero powers. Like, who doesn't like All Might, man? Like, everybody likes All Might. Everybody wants to be All Might, but you've got a lot of really cool characters and a good storyline and examining sort of like the fallacies of the whole idea of a superhero and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely My Hero Academia would be the one to just like, if you aren't already reading it, even if you don't read manga, go out, get it right now. So
Cool. What would you say is one of your favorite anime or manga? Or
anime or manga? I mean, my all-time favorite is Revolutionary Girl Utena. That's number one for me. I've cosplayed like half the cast from that at this point.
Gosh, that's on my list.
Yeah, so I do love that. Viz, I think last year put out the hardcover box set for that. The manga had been out of print for like 15 years or something like that, and they finally brought it back into print. You can go out right now and buy it. It's a gorgeous hardcover set. So definitely do that. That's sort of like I'd qualify it as like a postmodern fairy tale. A lot of people see Utena and they're like, oh, it's just another magical girl show like Sailor Moon. It's like, no, it's a lot different. There's a lot more action involved with it. Another one absolutely everybody should read is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I've got on my shirt. As you saw, I cosplayed Josuke from part 4 of JoJo. JoJo is split into 8 parts right now. Viz is just now getting to publishing part 4, which is my favorite part. My shirt is part 3, Stardust Crusaders, which I think is ostensibly the most popular because it's got a good villain. It's this big world-spanning adventure and whatnot. And part 4 I like a lot because it just takes place in one town in 1999 and there's a serial killer. It's like, I would sort of call it like Scooby-Doo, but with like strange supernatural powers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
So, yeah,
not one that I've
absolutely.
checked out. I'm
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah, right. That's nice. I never even would have considered that.
Yeah, so part 4, I think is one of the parts that has never been available in English before. So Viz is just now getting to publishing that in the hardcover format that they've done the first 3
I think
parts
it's out
in.
this month actually, or it's getting solicited this month.
Yeah, for sure. So that's really good. And part 4 is really interesting to look at just from an artwork perspective because part 4 is where Araki's art style changed super dramatically. So you look at the character, like the main character Josuke at the beginning of part 4, and he does not look anything like he does at the end of
Super transformation.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
So, yep.
Final question, and this is sort of for the table in general too, but first off, what got you into anime or manga? Which one?
I was 8 years old when Pokemon hit in the United States, so I was like right at the prime age to just get totally sucked into all of it. So like the television show, the video games, all of that.
Right.
So I started to find like the Pokemon Adventures manga was being published at that time as well. So I found that and like the Electric Tale of Pikachu, and then that was during the time where Tokyo Pop had gotten all of this manga into bookstores. So suddenly it was accessible in a way that it hadn't been previously.
It's like early 2000s.
Late 90s, early 2000s,
Pop into the old Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, so I would say like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura was a big one at the time as well. So
for sure.
Yep.
For me, actually, Revolutionary Girl Utena was one of my first manga, and then Magic Knight Rayearth.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Nice. I think it was probably Gunsmith Cats from Dark Horse. Yeah. Like I happened to see Writing Bean.
Okay.
And like I found that I discovered there was some sort of relation between the two. I can't even remember what it was anymore. I think it might be the same creator or something like that. And I was always an action guy. Like I always, as a kid, I watched Die Hard when I was 7. Like and like Lethal Weapon. You know what I mean? So the idea of this like crime series, this crime action series, like really appealed to me off the bat. Outside of that, it was like Project A-ko. Like Sci-Fi Channel used to show like anime in the 90s.
I remember that. Yeah, staying up too late on a Friday night watching whatever they were.
Right. And you get these really heavily edited versions of these shows. But I used to watch Project A-ko, and I still love Project A-ko. So yeah, great superhero story actually. So we are giving away something. Like I know we didn't do a toy thing for the toy segment like we normally do, but that's because we're giving away a massive manga bundle. So how can people win? And I guarantee it's not crap.
I guarantee it's not crap.
just to square that away right now. Actually, matter of fact, I'm gonna pull Carrie aside afterwards, and we're gonna go through this giant bundle. I'm like, what should people be picking
We'll make
up?
sure it's not crap.
We'll quality control it for you. But if you love manga or you're just trying to get into manga for the first time, you definitely want to participate. So
absolutely. So if you guys want to win this bundle of really awesome stuff, let us know what your favorite anime or manga is. Leave a comment on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching, and we'll take entries until next week's show, and we'll pick one of you guys.
Cool.
Awesome.
And also, we have last week's winner.
Yes.
Awesome.
So last week's winner of the Flash DC Core statue is Rod Smith, who said that my favorite Flash has always been Barry Allen. My brother even named his son Barry Allen Smith. So
That's
very
nice,
cool.
Yeah, I thought I was like,
Yeah.
You
can't
I
not
get
pick
that. You can't not pick that one, right? Before we go, we're going to do the comic shop shout out, of course, but I also want to ask you real quick about the Overstreet Batman price guide.
Sure.
Like, what can people expect? Like, when is it going to drop? Like, a rough idea of when it's going to drop?
Yeah, so we came up with the idea a little too late to have it out in time for his 80th anniversary, which was last week. So instead, we announced it, and then it'll be out in time for the holiday season this year.
Cool.
You can expect in-depth pricing on comics, on posters, on action figures, on video games, as well as a discussion of all things Bat-related. We've got character profiles, creator profiles. You know, we're looking into the whole Bat family. This isn't just Batman. This is Robin, Nightwing, Batwoman, Batgirl, the whole Bat family. And then looking at some of the standouts from his incredible rogues gallery as well. So you can expect deets on the Joker, Two-Face, Harley, Catwoman, Ivy, all of them.
Like, you can really fill a price guide with Batman.
Oh yeah,
like the
absolutely.
Bat family stuff.
Absolutely. So if you're familiar with the Overstreet comic book price guide, it's that level of in-depth, meticulous pricing research.
Nice.
But just specific to Batman and the Bat family. And I'm super excited to work on it. It's the first time I'm co-authoring a book with my co-editor, Amanda Sheriff.
Oh, nice.
So we're finally doing a collaborative project after more than 4 years of working at the same company. And yeah, I can't wait. There's so much cool Batman stuff out there. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to do the comic shop shout out.
Yep.
So, who do we have this week?
This week we have Crossroads Comics, and that's in New Jersey, and that was sent to us by Gary Goss, so we'll leave you with photos at the end of the show of that place. And if you guys want to be featured on the show, let us know what your favorite local comic shop is. Find us on social media wherever. Use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS, and we could feature you on the next show.
Cool. Awesome. And I guess that's it this week for Previews World Weekly. Carrie, thank you for coming out.
absolutely. Thanks
I
for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
We'll have you back on, not just for manga. We can talk about. Actually, we need a manga expert. So you're gonna you are now the manga expert. We're gonna make
Sounds
you the manga
good.
expert.
Declared it. Very good.
But I am Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and we'll see you at the spinner rack.
Thanks for watching Previews World Weekly. If you like the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes.